Caitlin Clark and Cheryl Miller, two names that basketball fans know and revere, bring a fire to the game that can't be easily duplicated. Clark, a rising force in college basketball, and Miller, a certified legend whose record-breaking feats redefined what a player could achieve on the court, have both contributed vastly different things to the sport. When Clark shared her honest perspective on Miller, it was like the basketball community held its breath, eager to see how the young star would respond to a legacy as towering as Miller's. This wasn't a case of one legend in the making quietly acknowledging another, but rather a rare moment of two dynamos from different generations converging in thought, approach, and pure love for the game. But before we proceed further, don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe. Clark, known for her intense energy and precision on the court, didn't just brush over her admiration for Miller. Instead, she expressed her respect in a manner that was less polished speech and more raw, almost playful admiration. Clark is known to lace her statements with humor, perhaps to ease the weight of the attention that she gets from fans and media alike. Yet, when it came to talking about Cheryl Miller, her tone softened in ways fans weren't used to. Miller isn't just any retired player. She's an icon whose career influenced countless young athletes, including Clark. Still, Clark was refreshingly honest, acknowledging that while she was amazed by Miller's achievements, she also wanted to make her own mark, separate yet somehow inspired by the trail Miller blazed. It's easy to see why Clark would look up to Miller. Miller's dominance during her time at USC and her sheer determination have set a standard that few can even hope to reach. Yet Clark, with her trademark confidence, didn't hold back from sharing how she sees herself carving out her distinct space in basketball. This blend of respect with a hint of rivalry brings an almost cinematic quality to the situation. Clark and Miller are connected by their love for the game, yet Clark makes it clear that she's not just here to play. She's here to change the game, just like Miller did. There's an understanding that while she admires Miller's work, Clark feels her story is still unfolding, and she's in no rush to mirror anyone else's journey, no matter how impressive. Clark's response to Miller's legacy shows a maturity beyond her years. She's not blind to the fact that Miller's achievements remain legendary benchmarks. In fact, she uses them as fuel. Clark's competitive nature is no secret. She's as known for her shooting as she is for her on-court intensity, sometimes fiery to the point of unforgettable. In speaking about Miller, however, Clark showed another side of her competitive spirit, one that didn't manifest in trash talk or bold predictions, but in a calm recognition that the best way to respect Miller's career is by creating one of her own that can stand side by side with it. It's the type of quiet intensity that gets fans even more excited to see what she'll do next, because it suggests that Clark isn't just trying to beat records, but to set entirely new standards. The conversation, or rather Clark's comments on Miller, reveal the younger player's understanding of legacy in a way that isn't often seen in rising stars. Many young athletes focus on winning stats and the immediate future, but Clark's reflections on Miller hint at her awareness of the broader picture. She sees Miller's career as more than just stats. It's a testament to resilience and dedication, something Clark values deeply. This perspective shows that she's not just playing for herself but is, in some ways, playing for everyone who came before her, every player who fought to make women's basketball what it is today. This isn't something she states explicitly, but her reverence for Miller says enough. Clark's thoughts on Miller hold a subtle promise that she's ready to be part of this lineage, not just by being a high scorer or a crowd favorite, but by transforming the expectations of what a college basketball player can be. In typical Clark fashion, she couldn't resist a bit of humor as she spoke about Miller. It wasn't a full-blown joke, but there was a lightheartedness, a bit of dry wit, that gave her comments an edge. Clark's humor isn't loud or boisterous. It's subtle, a little sly, as if she's letting you in on an inside joke she's had with herself. Her playful tone when she mentioned Miller made it clear that while she respects Miller, she's not intimidated. She recognizes Miller's status as an untouchable legend, but stops short of hero worship. To Clark, Miller is both a giant and a peer, someone she looks up to and yet hopes to stand shoulder to shoulder with eventually. This mixture of respect and confidence makes Clark's perspective on Miller particularly compelling. Clark is self-aware enough to understand her place in the current basketball landscape, but bold enough to believe she can be more. She's respectful, but never in a way that implies she's putting herself down. Instead, her admiration for Miller seems to energize her, as if she's absorbing Miller's legacy, not as a daunting standard but as a guidepost to the kind of career she wants to build. Clark's determination isn't about erasing Miller's achievements or breaking free from her influence, but about finding a path where Miller's influence makes her stronger, sharper, and more focused. Throughout her comments, Clark's competitive edge peeked through in her admiration for Miller, not by dismissing the older player's achievements but by suggesting, in her own subtle way, that she's ready to create something just as impactful. This isn't arrogance, it's ambition, the kind that's rare and riveting in someone her age. Clark's words echoed with a kind of understated confidence, one that doesn't need to prove itself with declarations or grandiose claims. Instead, it's the quiet resolve that comes from knowing you're good enough to make a name for yourself. Clark wants her career to be a statement, one that honors those who came before but also challenges the future. And while she admires Miller's journey, she's also unafraid of crafting her own. Clark's acknowledgement of Miller's career, peppered with her characteristic wit and energy, adds a refreshing layer to the typical player-player dynamic. Often, rising stars might politely tip their hats to legends, but Clark's approach is different. Her comments feel less like admiration from a distance and more like a conversation, an exchange between two people who understand what it means to put everything on the line for a game they love. She's aware of the work it took Miller to get where she did and seems prepared to put in just as much effort, maybe even more. Clark's casual, slightly humorous manner hints that she's not awed by legends. She's inspired by them, but confident enough to believe she can join their ranks. The way Clark talked about Miller also shows her deep respect for the history of women's basketball, something that's become integral to her approach to the game. She understands that her opportunity to play at such a high level is partly due to the path laid out by players like Miller. Yet, Clark isn't content to simply bask in the legacy. She wants to build on it. Her comments suggest a desire to push boundaries, to redefine what's possible, not by competing with Miller directly but by setting her own course. There's a sense that Clark views her journey as a continuation of the work started by pioneers like Miller. In a way, Clark's words are a nod to the past and a promise to the future, a pledge that she's here to continue the work while making her own mark. As Clark wrapped up her thoughts on Miller, there was a clear sense of purpose in her words. Clark doesn't merely aim to follow in Miller's footsteps. She wants to create something equally unforgettable. She's aware of the expectations, the comparisons, and the inevitable pressure that come with being mentioned in the same breath as a legend. But rather than shrink under it, she seems to thrive. Her respect for Miller's career doesn't diminish her confidence in her own abilities. If anything, it strengthens it. Clark seems to see Miller's legacy as a challenge, an invitation to be bold and fearless, qualities that Clark already embodies. Her approach to Miller's influence is practical and focused, like an athlete studying her own trajectory, finding ways to reach new heights while honoring the ones who came before. Caitlin Clark's reflections on Cheryl Miller reveal a young athlete who's not just skilled but deeply aware of what it means to leave a legacy. She doesn't shy away from the weight of Miller's achievements, but absorbs them as a motivator. Her words show a mix of ambition and grounded respect, qualities that make her both relatable and admirable. Clark's perspective on Miller is rooted in gratitude but doesn't stop there. It's a rare blend of acknowledgement and confidence, a combination that suggests she's ready to step up to the same level as Miller, not as a follower but as a fellow trailblazer. Through her candid and somewhat playful comments, Clark showed that she's here to redefine greatness on her terms, always with a nod to the legends who paved the way. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more engaging content. We thrive on your feedback, so be sure to leave your thoughts in the comments section below. Until next time, keep discovering and stay tuned.